What's up, guys? Back with another video. It's Tuesday, uh, headed up to work, and today gonna do a little reviewing of our last show, preview our next show, and maybe talk about a couple things in TCG news. So, this past weekend, we went to Hard Hitting Card Shows, Berlin, Connecticut, the Truck Bar Show. It was my first time doing that show, and it went really well. It's a shorter show. It was only 10 to 3, but pretty much busy the entire time. Working on a lot of deals. Lots of trades, lots of slab movement, which kind of surprised me. Seems like slabs do really well at some shows and they don't move at all at other shows. So lots of slabs moving in, moving out, and also a good amount of sealed product sold. Most notably, my entire order of Mega Dream boxes was sold out in the first half of the show. I sold, I only had 10, but still, 10 boxes that quick is good. So, another order coming in this week for Mega Dream, so I'll have it at upcoming shows as well. But yeah, the show went really well. I had a lot of fun. My nephew helped out with vending. It was his first time kind of like hanging out and doing, having some involvement in the vending process, helping us set up and things like that. And then he got to walk around and do some deals at tables and do some trading and stuff like that. So, yeah, he had a blast. I had a really good time. Saw some familiar faces, met some new people, made some nice deals. Picked up a bunch of slabs. Nothing like too crazy, but I did pick up shiny carp PSA 8, so the fish tank grows. I picked up a Glue Rock, which is the German Charizard, PSA 7 from base set. Picked up Mega Charizard from Evolutions in a 10. Handful of other slabs. So yeah, it was productive. I will definitely be trying to do that show again. It's not super close by to me. But my parents live a lot closer to that show, so it's kind of easy for me to like crash at their house and then go over to the show and then just drive home after. Especially because it's a shorter show. It gets out at 3, so pretty easy on that end. But yeah, definitely going to be trying to fit that show into our schedule again, because it was fun. It's a cool venue. Hard Hitting does well with promo and stuff like that. So, yeah. This weekend, we will be back at the Pokemon Outlet in Lee, Mass. My home show. Really like doing the show. It's easy for me to do because it's 20 minutes from my house. So, it makes traveling easy, and no hotel expense for a 2-day show. Sign me up. So excited to be back there. Got tons of sealed, tons of Japanese sealed, tons of my vintage binder is still stacked with singles. Modern binder still stacked. All my case singles stacked up. Extra slabs from last time I was there. Lots of new inventory. And I'm working on a deal to pick up even more vintage right now. So in the next day or two, I should be picking up some more sweet vintage stuff, and hopefully have the case jam-packed with lots of cool vintage stuff, modern, all sorts of stuff. But hope to see you guys there. Not sure how the show's going to go because it's, it's the weekend before Christmas. So it's kind of, could be not amazing, but it could also be really good because you never know if people need like last minute gifts or whatever. So we'll see, but I'm looking forward to it. That show's always fun, and hope to see you guys there. One thing I was going to talk about a little bit, and just something that I had an experience with at the show over the weekend, and I just thought it was like an interesting topic, and especially if you're like considering vending, or maybe you're just starting out vending, and I don't want to sound like I'm throwing shade or being a jerk or anything, so hopefully it's not taken that way. But so at the show this weekend, I got all my stuff set up, and then as I do, I had time to kill before people actually showed up. So I was scoping around at a few of the vendors' tables, seeing what they had, and saw some cool stuff at the table right next to me. It was a shining T-tar, and so first things first, the vendor next to me didn't have any of his stuff priced. Like almost none of it was priced, which some people do that. I guess it's one way to do it. I don't think it's correct or the best sales strategy. I think people like to have things that they can look at, they can compare prices without having to ask questions. That's why literally everything aside from, I have 2 slabs that are in my case right now that I don't put price stickers on, and that's because recent comps are all over the place. So I like to just have, and they're my high-end slabs. So if somebody's really interested, I'd rather have the conversation, go through the comps, and see if there's a offer they want to make. But a lot of people, actually, I would say maybe a quarter to a third of vendors don't price their stuff pre-show, or at least they won't price all of it or a lot of it. And I really think that is just like not ideal if you're trying to sell stuff, especially in a hobby like TCG collecting, because let's be real, what other marketplace are you going to have a higher concentration of people that are like socially awkward? Like the concentration of socially awkward people is higher in the TCG space than probably any other marketplace you could come up with, just being real. So to not have prices on stuff, you're going to lose out on a lot of potential sales, because people like to go around and shop around and go check comps on TCG, go check comps on eBay or Card Ladder or whatever, and they don't want to have a conversation about every single card that they're interested in your case. Like, it's that's like a huge time sink, as far as like you're going to spend so much time comping cards if they're not already priced. So as a vendor, I think you should have your cards priced. And you'll see it like if you watch like buyer POVs or anything like that, people just like comment in the comments of those videos. Sometimes like somebody will go up to a vendor and they won't have stuff priced and you have to ask about it. And people will say in comments, and I've heard this other places as well, like, oh, that person doesn't have their stuff priced, automatically I would just walk away. And truthfully, I'm kind of like that. It's just like, I don't have time to have a conversation about every single card on your table that I'm interested in. And to sit there while you comp it, because half the time people that don't price their cards, they haven't comped them recently. So they don't know off the top of their head. And so it just becomes like way more time consuming if a vendor doesn't price their stuff before a show. So anyway, little tangent there, but just something to think about if you're new to the vending space or thinking about getting into it. You should price your stuff before shows, broadly speaking, at least. But anyway, so I was interested in this one slab. I asked the vendor, hey, what do you got on that? Comps were weird because there was one recent comp that sold on alt for like $460. And then prior to that, the last comps before that were like 2 months plus old. And those were much higher. They were more like $600 to $700. So originally he said, oh, well, the last sold was $460, so I'd be looking at like $450 or so. And I said, cool, I like that valuation. It was before the show even started. So I was like, hey, look at my case and see if you want to do any sort of trade for it, because, you know, I don't want to spend all my cash before the show even starts, or spend like, you know, I don't want to spend cash and then have somebody come up and not have the cash to make a purchase that I want to make. So I was just like, well, just take a look, see if you see anything. So he takes a look at a handful of things, and he's like, I like this, I like that, you know. Oh, well, I like this, but I would keep it for my PC, so I shouldn't. No big deal. Yeah, whatever. But, you know, then I start throwing offers. It's like, oh, well, if you're interested in these, like, I'll do that plus that cash, or this plus that cash, or whatever. And he kind of starts like doubting his original comp that he gave me at $450, and kind of starts going, I don't know, that comp seems kind of off. I don't know if I should sell it for that price or this or that. And so now I'm like, you kind of already told me that was the price, right? And so, you know, I make a few more offers, and then like eventually, after doing this for almost the entire time that I had before the show started, because I really wanted the slab, after, you know, it's getting close to showtime, and he just kind of goes like, I don't know, I don't even know if I really want to sell it, and I think I might just hold on to it. I really like the shinings and blah, blah, you know, starts doing one of those. And that's when I just kind of went, okay, that's fine. Like, I can't force you to sell it, and I'm not going to like offer, you know. The other thing that's going on is, if you're plugged into the market, it's like, yeah, the market has gone down significantly on a lot of things the past 2 months. So if you want to comp it at 2 months ago prices, you know, you're not going to sell much. And then I showed him, hey man, like, this is a PSA 6. The comps 2 months ago, yeah, were like 600, but this last comp was 460. And I know there's a buyer's premium, but if you look at sevens, recent 7 sales are like 600. So I can't pay 600 for a 6. And so we did a little more dancing back and forth after the show started, just seeing if I could get it. you know, because I'm there, I'm at my table, he's right next to me. So I was having that conversation, and he just eventually kind of goes like, I think I'm just going to hold on to it. I don't really want to get rid of it for that or whatever. And so long story short, too long didn't read. If you're new at vending, if you're thinking about vending, leave stuff home if you're not willing to sell it or trade for it or whatever. Like, if you don't want to get rid of something, don't put it on your table. Because truthfully, I kind of, at the end of that interaction, I just left with a bad taste in my mouth from the whole thing, and like kind of being a little irked about it, because it's like, you kind of just wasted like an hour of my time that I could have been looking at other stuff. Like, I'm at a card show, you have a card out, you give me the comp, I try to find a deal that works for both of us. And then at the end of an hour worth of negotiations, you go, I think I just want to actually hold on to it and not sell it. It's kind of like you just wasted a bunch of my time while I'm at a place where I could be finding deals. So that's not really a good way to make a good relationship as a vendor. You know, like, truth be told, like, he was a nice guy. I don't want to be like a jerk about it or anything, like I said. But if I were to see that guy at another card show, I would probably entirely avoid his table, because it's like, who knows? I'm going to kick the tires on another card, and then like an hour of negotiations later, you're going to tell me it's not for sale. So, you know, that's just not how I do business. That's not how I like to do business. It's just not really a good look. And also, he did a similar thing to another vendor that came over and asked him about a slab. He gave him a price, and then the other vendor, like, was kind of like trying to negotiate a little bit better price. But then the vendor that was selling the slab, or had the slab displayed for sale, had his buddy who was with him be like, hey man, that the recent comps on that are like actually way higher than you just said. It was literally like a difference of like, he said 500 and recent comps were like 800. And so as soon as the guy trying to buy it heard his buddy kind of interject, he was like, oh, well, like, I'll do it for 5. You know, he was trying to get an even better deal than that, which was kind of, you know, whatever. But, and then, so then that guy that was selling it was like, oh, well, you know, he kind of like realized that he made a huge mistake price-wise. And then he said, like, he wasn't sure if he wanted to honor the price or not. And then he ended up like being like, I think I just am going to hold on to it since that the price difference is so much. And it's just like, dude, this is not how this is supposed to go. Like, it's a really bad look to do business that way. So, just kind of something fun, you know. I mean, now that it already happened and I'm removed from the situation and everything, it's just kind of like, that's funny. But at the time I was really like annoyed, because I was like, dude, I could have just went around and like shopped around at other vendors before the show started, and you just had me sitting around negotiating a slab you ended up not wanting to sell. Like, that's why it's so important. Like, check your comps pre-show, figure out if you want to sell things at current market prices, figure out what your price is on things, because otherwise you're going to lose tons of sales, and you're not going to make friends being like that. You know, like I said, I won't go back to that table, because it's like, what, I'm going to waste another hour of my time and then have you tell me, oh, that's actually, I'm going to hold on to that. All right. You know, so just some observation and, you know, general advice for newer vendors, people thinking about vending, don't bring stuff you don't want to sell. Or if you're going to, for some weird reason, just be upfront about the situation. Like, it's not a good look to do it that way. So, anyway, the other big news, I guess, well, the only big news that I'm really going to talk about, because I spent a little while on that little anecdote there, but only news that is breaking news from yesterday. Apparently, PSA Grading, their parent company, Collectors, I guess, is reportedly buying Beckett Grading, which is interesting. People are really freaking out about it, and I don't exactly know how I feel about it yet. I would say obviously there could be negative consequences of lots of consolidation in the market, but I think it's kind of just funny in a way, because like in reality, I barely know anybody who grades with Beckett ever. And also, every time I have a Beckett slab, it's way harder to get rid of than other slabs would be. So, to me, it's kind of like, I don't really care. Like, I don't really like to deal in Beckett slabs anyway. I've never sent a submission to Beckett, and I don't really plan on it. So I think it's just kind of funny, because I don't, like, there's not many people I know that have been like, oh yeah, I'm sending a submission to Beckett. Whereas like everybody I know sends submissions to PSA. So I think it's just like some weird like psychological thing where people are like, oh no, like PSA is going to monopolize the grading card market, and then they're going to charge $1 million per submission. And, you know, like, is it a good thing? I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't really care that much. Like, I guess like what people are really concerned about is that black labels are going to get less stringent as far as like the requirements to hit a black label. But I don't know. I think like the parent company is more incentivized to give consumers like two different options than only give them one option. And so reportedly so far, all I've heard is that, you know, Beckett is going to still be operating as an independent company. It's not like they're merging Beckett and PSA. And so, at least from my perspective, if I was the parent company, I would rather benefit off having two separate entities in the same space that offer different services, different grade requirements, let them operate independently, or literally burn Beckett to the ground and not operate it anymore. I would rather do either of those options as far as like capturing the market, rather than merging them together and thinking that that's going to do the same thing. It's just, I think just having two different distinct business entities that offer different services and different structures as far as like grading results go is smarter. But who knows? You know, people are quick to sort of throw shade at PSA, and every industry is like this. Whoever the top You know, whoever the top dog is in an industry, people are just more likely to sort of be judgmental towards them. And so that's not really surprising that happens to PSA all the time. Like I've said, I'm not trying to like cape for PSA or anything, but like there's a lot of collectors and you know, people have a lot of money tied up in PSA slabs. So, you know, like haters can hate and that's fine and that's your right to do. But like there's a lot of people who have a vested interest in the PSA continuing as the top dog in the grading space. So I don't really have a strong opinion, but I would just say like I think people's memories are like goldfish, and 2-3 months from now, like absolutely nobody's going to care about any of this. Like I said, I barely know anybody who ever grades with Beckett. I would imagine the numbers of Beckett cards being graded are not even 10% of the number of cards being graded at PSA. So I think it's like a lot of freaking out over practically nothing. But we'll see. I could be totally wrong. So who knows? Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much the video for today. I am getting close to the job site for the day. And only other thing I did want to announce, for next year, first show of the year, I will be at Hard Hitting Card Shows at Foxwoods Casino. It's going to be their first time doing a 2-day show there. The first one that I went to in October was really good for a 1-day show. And I hope this one will be even better. And so that's the 10th and 11th of January. And yeah, I'd go. I think it's going to be great. There's tons of vendors. I think there's going to be over 300 tables this time. So I'm really looking forward to that show. And yeah, hope to see you guys there. Hope to see some of you guys there at the Pokemon Outlet this weekend. And I'm probably gonna do a video, I'll get another video in sometime later this week. Still waiting on my PSA submission. It's in research and ID right now. So seems like chances are slim that I'm gonna have it back for the card show this weekend, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. You know, no big deal. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. And I will talk to you again in the next couple days. Later.